Like the ship of Theseus, that which was once is no longer. The two mouthpieces on the right are actually the mouthpieces that Harold Wright recommended for his students. They are engraved 5RV lyre. They're engraved. And the rubber, as you can see, was actually quite good. The mouthpiece in the middle was actually used by the principal clarinetist of a major orchestra in New York. And he used it a lot. And it was refaced by Everett Matson, but this is an amazing mouthpiece. Good throat shape. There's some Matson hallmarks in the baffle, but this is a really incredible mouthpiece. But Harold Wright recommended to a lot of his students the stock 5RV lyres from the 1970s and 80s. And these, even stock, could be really good mouthpieces. This one is original. It's very clean. Same throat. Not quite as good of a baffle, but there's still some good stuff going on. Harold Wright was not like Robert Marcellus, which had a affinity for Casper mouthpieces, and he, in many cases, made his students play Casper mouthpieces. Harold Wright was just, he had his Shedvells, which, of course, were not available to his students. But if I look at a modern 5RV lyre, it's so much worse in so many ways. The throat shape is pretty much the same. The exit bore is pretty much the same. But you start to see some hiccups going on with the baffle. And the biggest thing is the material. In my humble opinion, the material from these earlier Vandorens was so much more resonant. This is why they took over the world, because they were cheap to acquire, but really well made. And the material has changed over time. In fact, I have a story about this 5RV. I got a Casper mouthpiece with a clarinet a few years ago, and this also came with it. And I put this on thinking it was the Casper because I didn't know there was another mouthpiece in it. And I'm like, this is actually a pretty good Casper. But actually, it was just a stock 5RV. So I have some more videos on Vandoren coming shortly, but this is just a brief look into how, for example, band directors started to recommend 5RVs or B45s. Well, one of these things is not like the other.